Paper Secretary: How Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump Turned Quantico into Political Theater. When former President Donald Trump and Fox News personality Pete Hegseth arrived at Marine Corps Base Quantico for what was promoted as a high-level strategy session with hundreds of senior U.S. military leaders, the framing was deliberate: power, patriotism, and policy. But behind the flag-draped optics, many attendees and defense insiders say the gathering was little more than campaign theater masquerading as military consultation. The so-called briefing brought together an unusually large concentration of top brass, generals, commanders, and senior advisors, sparking immediate concern among some in the Pentagon. Several officials privately noted that convening so many high-ranking officers in one location was operationally reckless and strategically unnecessary, especially given global tensions and ongoing field operations. One defense source put it bluntly: if something had happened there, half our senior command structure would have been wiped out for a photo op. Some attendees were reportedly redirected from overseas deployments and active conflict zones for the meeting. Rather than tactical updates or policy briefings, they sat through broad monologues about restoring the military and reversing wokeness. According to multiple accounts, portions of the session devolved into rambling commentary on race, gender, and cultural threats, with little to no discussion of current operations, logistics, or defense priorities. "It was surreal," said one officer who attended. "We've got troops in live operational theaters, and we were flown back to listen to a cable news commentator talk about pronouns." Hegseth, not an official in any defense capacity, played the part of unofficial MC and ideological hype man. Hegseth appeared less of a Secretary of War and more of a paper secretary, someone performing the posture of power without the portfolio, policy depth, or appointment to justify his presence. His remarks reportedly stuck to culture war rhetoric and political loyalty tests, rather than any actionable military strategy. In one of the meeting's most controversial moments, Trump suggested that American cities should be used as training grounds for the military, a proposal that stunned many in the room. One attendee described the reaction as a mix of disbelief and stiff silence, noting that the comment seemed less like policy and more like a campaign line crafted to animate his base. "It was the kind of thing you'd expect in a podcast rant, not a room full of generals," another military official said. At multiple points, Trump pivoted to criticizing President Joe Biden, veering into campaign-style jabs rather than discussing national defense. Unlike his rallies, however, there were no cheers or applause. Attendees say the room went noticeably quiet each time he attacked Biden, a sign of discomfort among an audience trained to avoid political entanglement. "There was no energy in the room for that," one participant said. "Everyone just stared ahead." Unlike genuine senior-level consultations, there were no distributed documents, no intelligence updates, and no discussion of policy implementation. No follow-ups were scheduled, and no operational instructions were issued after the event. One Pentagon official quipped privately that the entire meeting could have been an email, and a short one at that. Security risks and political rewards. The sheer concentration of high-level officers caused unease among defense planners, who questioned why such a gathering took place without a formal directive. Some hinted that the military presence itself was the point, the image of Trump surrounded by uniforms, projecting influence he no longer holds. Defense analysts note that using Quantico, a critical Marine Corps hub, as a backdrop for partisan theater breaks with long-standing norms. One former DoD official called it a politicized stunt, hiding behind salutes and dress blues. In the end, the event offered Trump and Hegseth what they came for: photographs, headlines, and the illusion of military alignment. No strategies were adopted, no policies drafted, and no defense objectives advanced. Senior leadership returned to their posts with nothing but talking points they didn't ask for, and a renewed awareness of how political theater is creeping into national security spaces. Paper Secretary isn't just a nickname for Hegseth. It describes the entire production. A show on paper framed for the cameras, signifying strength without substance. This has been a No Sleeple Network production. Thanks for watching. If you like what we're doing here, please like, share, and subscribe.